Everybody to another video, and in this video today we'll be going over imaginary numbers. So to get started, we have to know what imaginary numbers are. I is an imaginary number which has a value of the square root of -1. I squared, when you square I, or when you square a square root of -1, you get -1. When you cube it, you get negative the square root of -1. But we already know this is I, so we can just write -I. When you take it to the fourth power, you do the square root of -1 squared, which would be -1, and you square -1 again, which would be 1. And this pattern continues for every step of the way. So I to the fifth power would be I to the sixth power would be -1, I to the seventh power would be -I, and it continues. So let's get into some problems. For our first problem, we have 3i times 5i. So the first thing we need to do is distribute through the parentheses. So 3i times 5i, well, we know 3 times 5 is 15, and I times I is I squared, so that would be 15i squared. And next we have our I right here. So we know that I is equal to the square root of -1, but we're looking for I squared, and we know that I squared is -1. So we would do 15 times -1, which would give us -15, and that would be our answer. For our next problem, we have 2 plus 7i times 8 plus 3i. So the first thing we need to do is distribute. So we would do 2 times 8, which is 16, 2 times 3i, which is 6i, 7i times 8, which would be 56i, plus 7i plus 3i. 7i times 3i, which would give us 21i squared. So now we would just add our like terms or common terms together. So we get 16 plus 6i plus 56i is 61i plus 21i squared. Next, we notice that we have an I squared over here, and we know that that equals -1. So we could do 16 plus 61i plus 21 times -1. When we factor, we get 16 plus 61i minus 21. And now we can notice that 16 and 21 can cancel out, so we would be left with 61i minus 5. Oh, sorry, this would be 62, because 6 plus 56 would be 62. 62i minus 5, which gives us our answer. That means this over here would be 62, this would be 62, and this would be 62 as well. For our next problem, we have 2 plus 3i plus 1 minus 6i minus 8 plus 7i. So the first thing we need to do is distribute. So we get 2 plus 3i plus 1 minus 6i, and this negative factors through the whole thing, so that would be -8 minus 7i. Next, we can just add our like terms together. We have 2, 1, and -8. So 2 plus 1 would be 3. 3 minus 8 is -5. 3i minus 6i, which would be -3i, minus 7i, which is -10i. And we get this answer as our final answer. And for our last problem, we have 4 minus 5i times 12 plus 11i. So first thing again, we will distribute. 4 times 12 is 48. 4 times 11i, which would be 44i, minus 5i times 12, which is 60i. And then 5i times 11i, which would be 55i squared. Next, we're just going to distribute with their like terms. So 44i minus 60i, which would be negative 16i, minus 55i squared. And we know that I squared is negative 1. So we could plug that in. Now we would get 48 minus 16i plus 55. And 48 plus 55 is 103 minus 16i. And that would be our final answer. Thank you for watching this video today, and if you guys have any more questions, make sure to leave them down in the comments, and make sure to subscribe so you get notified when I post a future video. Bye.